Joseph Fetterman is covering the war for us in Ukraine. He joins us now from the battered country. Thanks for being with us. First, set the scene for us. What is happening on the ground right now?
Well, we saw attempts to set up a humanitarian corridor in southern Ukraine fall apart very quickly. Almost as soon as it was announced, the fighting resumed. It's not quite clear who fired the first shot, but the city of Mariupol in southern Ukraine very quickly came under heavy Russian shelling. We continue to see heavy fighting across the country in the capital of Kyiv. Even here in Lviv, which is a relatively quiet town, not too long ago we had air raid sirens here.
And we spoke before about Putin's shifting tactics and when he started going after civilian targets and that nuclear plant. Nothing seems off limits. We talked about that. The Russians then declared that ceasefire that you're talking about to open humanitarian corridors to allow civilians to leave certain cities. But the Ukrainians are saying that that's not true. It never happened.
That's what they're saying. Very quickly, we looked into this today, and as far as we know, nobody managed to get out of that city. And in fact, conditions are only getting worse. What we're hearing is that there's no power, food supplies are running low, hospitals are overwhelmed, and so forth. So the humanitarian situation is only getting worse, and that's why we see the flood of people leaving the country just growing day by day. Now over 1.4 million people have left the country.
Unbelievable and so sad. Both the presidents of Ukraine and Russia meeting with world leaders today. Did anything significant come of those meetings?
Nothing significant yet, but at least we see some signs of diplomacy. Putin had a surprise meeting with Israel's prime minister. Israel has emerged as sort of an unexpected mediator, but it's one of the few countries that has good relations with both leaders. And right after that meeting, Israel's prime minister, Naftali Bennett, made a phone call to Ukraine's president, and now he's off to Germany for talks with Western leaders as well. So that's one track. We also saw the U.S. Secretary of State Blinken visiting refugees on the Polish border, pledging to provide more support to the refugees. And then we see Ukraine's President Zelensky speaking to American senators in a virtual call. He's seeking more support, more arms. He's getting a receptive audience. The U.S. is going to deliver more aid and some weapons, but the main thing that Ukraine wants, a no-fly zone, that's not happening for the time being.
And what is the reason for that?
The concern is that if there's a no-fly zone, that means that the U.S. or other Western powers would be guaranteeing Ukrainian airspace and basically coming into conflict with Russian warplanes over Ukrainian skies. That would set up a huge risk of this conflict spreading beyond Ukraine and into Europe. And those fears were confirmed when Russia's President Putin today said a no-fly zone would be tantamount to a declaration of war.
So better to provide the weapons to the Ukrainians so they can shoot down Russian helicopters in that airspace is the rationale, I guess. So I want to talk to you about Kherson.
Exactly.
That mayor saying that they don't even have any more weapons to resist the Russians. What is it like to be there and just watch region after region, city after city fall to the Russians?
Well, it's sort of mixed feelings because wherever you go, you see these signs of defiance and determination by the Ukrainian people. We relocated a couple of days ago. We went through dozens and dozens of checkpoints. You see people with light arms, with rifles, with Molotov cocktails. So you feel the determination here. But the fact that they're running out of weapons does not, it's not surprising. You're dealing with a far stronger enemy here, and you just have to wonder, beyond the determination and the resilience, how long can these people hold out? Because if you look across the map, you just see Russian forces closing in from all directions right now.
Joseph Fetterman, thank you.
Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.